My children put me in a nursing home the week after Thanksgiving, and I lasted exactly 90 days before I signed myself out, packed one bag, and got on a plane. My name's Joan, 73, from Rochester, New York, and for 30 years I drove a school bus. Up before the sun, ice on the roads, 40 kids and their whole racket behind me, and I never once put that bus in a ditch. I'll have you know that. 30 years, not one ditch. I am telling you that so you understand the kind of woman my children decided couldn't be trusted to live on her own anymore. I on the ice, out front, and I got right back up. But the neighbors saw it and called my daughter, and after that it was meetings. They had meetings about me, my kids, without me, and words like, for her own safety. And before I rightly knew what was happening, they'd found a place, a very nice facility, and they packed up my house, and they walked me in there the week after Thanksgiving, like I was a coat they were checking at the door. And I want to tell you what that place was. It was clean. It was warm. The people were paid to be kind, and mostly they managed it. And it was the loneliest, deadest 90 days of my whole life. Meals at a bell, lights at a time, a little cup of pills, and a nurse watching to make sure I swallowed, and a lock on the outside door with a code so the ones who wandered couldn't get out. I wasn't a wanderer, but I'll tell you, a door that locks from the outside feels the same. So on day 90, I put on my good coat, and I signed the paper that said I was leaving, against everybody's advice. And I called a taxi, and I did the thing that no one who'd watched me get old and quiet ever thought I had left in me. I emptied what was still mine, and I bought a one-way ticket to the far side of the world, a city called Davao in the Philippines, and I did not tell my children until I was already gone. I didn't run off because I was scared. I ran off because I don't even rightly know the word for it. There's a difference between being kept safe and being left alone to live your own life. And I was 73 and behind a door that locked from the outside before anybody let me feel it. And I'll be honest with you, that first night I sat on the edge of a strange bed and thought, maybe they'd been right about me after all. The heat hit me the second I stepped off that plane, thick and wet and total, and by the time I found the fellow holding a sign with my name on it, I was soaked clean through my traveling clothes. It was loud, it was fast, it was everything Rochester in February is not. And I sat in the back of a taxi watching this hot, bright, roaring city go by, and the whole size of what I'd done came down on me at once. 73, alone, 10,000 miles from a single soul who knew me, and the people who put me away were going to wake up and find my bed empty and think, see, she's not right in the head. And for a minute there in that taxi, I got up to the little apartment I'd rented off the internet, sight unseen, and the heat had pooled up in that little room like water in a sink. And I sat down on the edge of the bed, and I did not cry, on account of I was too mad to. Anger runs drier than grief, and it holds you up better besides. I thought, well, Joan, you've done it now. And then I thought about the bell for meals, and the lights going off at a time, and the code on that door, and I thought, no, no. Whatever this is, it doesn't lock from the outside. And that got me through the night. The first weeks were hard, harder than I'd braced for, and I'm not too proud to say it. The heat never quit. I couldn't sleep. I got my stomach turned inside out by something I ate off a cart. I got lost. And the thing I hadn't reckoned on, 90 days in that place had done something to me. I kept waiting for a bell. I'd catch myself sitting in a chair with my hands in my lap doing nothing, waiting to be told it was time for the next thing, because that's what I'd been trained to in 3 short months, and it scared me how fast it took. I'd walk to the market and feel like I was getting away with something, like somebody was going to come and tell me I couldn't be out. I thought, they didn't just lock a door on me, they put a little version of that locked door inside my own head, and I've carried it across an ocean. And I missed things, which surprised me, because I was so angry I didn't think I'd miss a thing. I missed the cold, a real one. I missed my route, if you can believe it. 30 years of the same turns, the same kids. The Henderson's dog that chased me at the corner of Elm every single morning for 6 years. I missed being the one people counted on to get somewhere on time and safe. That's what they took when they took the bus, and then the house, and then the door. They took me being the one who could be counted on, and handed me a bell. And I miss the grandkids. Of course I did, though I'd have bitten my tongue off before I let my kids see it, the way things stood. There's 4 of them. The littlest, my grandson Cody, he's 8, and he used to save me the last seat when I drove his class field trips. The very back one, the bouncy seat every other kid fought over, and he'd guard it for his grandma with both little arms. I couldn't bring much with me when I left, but I brought the dented metal clipboard off my old route, the one I did 30 years of morning counts on, tape marks still on it, and it sits on my windowsill here in Davao, and some nights I pick it up for no reason on this earth. Cody won't remember me. He'll know a grandma who lives in a phone on the far side of the world, if he knows me at all. I don't have an answer for that one. I'm still waiting to see, will any of them ever get on a plane? I try not to hold my breath about it. Some mornings I hold it anyway. But slow, so slow I about missed it. The city turned into people. First one was Nong Bebot. Nong's a respect word for an older woman. She sold fruit at the market near my place, a whole mountain of it, pomelo and mangoes, and these enormous spiky green things I'd learned to fear and then to love. And she was maybe 60, loud, a laugh like a car horn. And she clocked me the first morning as a lost old foreigner, and just took me on. "Ma'am, come," she'd say. "You don't know how to buy. I show you." And she taught me the fruit, and she never once let me get cheated. And she didn't need me to talk much, which was a mercy, because I didn't have a lot of talk left in me those first weeks. I'd sit on an upturned crate by her stall in the shade, and she'd hand me a slice of pomelo, and we'd watch the market go. And it was the first time since the week after Thanksgiving that I felt like Joan, and not like a case being managed. Now I've got to tell you about the day I made a first-class fool of myself, because it's a good story, and everybody in that market still tells it. The spiky green things, durian they're called, and Davao is famous for them, and everybody warned me. "Ma'am, the smell, maybe you don't like, foreigners don't like." And of course, being told I couldn't handle a thing is a red flag to a bull with me, always has been. I drove a school bus for 30 years, Don't tell me what I can't handle. So I bought one, and Nang Bebot cracked it open right there, and the smell came up off it like, I want to be polite, but there's no polite way, like something had died in a locker room and been left in the sun. And half the market was watching the crazy Americana, and I was not going to give them the satisfaction. So I took a big bite, a proud big bite, and, oh my Lord, my eyes went. My whole face did something I couldn't control. I have never in my life made a noise like that in public, and the market just roared. Bebot had to hold onto her stall, she was laughing so hard. And here's the thing, I was too stubborn to spit it out and admit defeat, so I chewed and swallowed and stood there with my eyes watering and my face a mess of horror in front of 30 laughing strangers. And then, this is the part, under the terrible part, there was something else, something custardy and sweet and strange. And I took another bite. And Bebot near about fell over. "Ma'am," she said, wiping her eyes, "you are one crazy old woman." And she said it like it was the finest compliment she had. It was. I eat durian near every day now. Can't get enough of the stuff. My kids would be appalled. I find I enjoy that.
That market became my place, the way a route becomes your route. Every morning, near about, I'd walk down, and Nang Bebot would have something set by for me. The sweetest pomelo, a mango she'd been guarding from the other customers, and once she trusted my stomach, the durian. And I got to know the whole row of them, the fish woman, the man with the eggs, the girl who sold the little sweet bananas, and they all learned my name and hollered it. And they argued, actually argued, over whose scale was more honest for the Americana. And I'd sit on my crate in the shade, and I could not help it. My mind would go back to the dining room in that facility. Assigned seats we had. My name on a little card at a table with 3 other people I hadn't picked. And a bell. And the same rotation of soft food. And a woman with a clipboard noting who ate and who didn't. That was where
And here was a market, loud as a schoolyard, where I picked my own fruit off a mountain of it with my own hands and paid my own money and sat where I pleased and left when I felt like it, and every soul in the place was glad I'd come. You want to know what freedom tastes like at 73? Turns out it tastes like a fruit that smells like a locker room, bought off a woman who calls you a crazy old Americana and means it kindly. 90 days I lived by a bell. Now my whole day was mine to spend, and I spent a good part of it on a crate in a market, learning to love a fruit. And if that isn't getting out of jail, I don't know what is. There was Kuya Randy, my taxi driver. Kuyas for a young man you respect, who I'd call whenever I needed to go somewhere. And Randy was maybe 40 and the kindest fool alive, absolutely obsessed with some singing contest on the television, a local one, and he would give me the entire standings, every single ride, whether I asked or not, who got voted off, who the judges were cruel to, and I never understood a word of it, and I'd just say, "Is that right, Randy?" And he'd be off again. He waited for me is the thing. Engine off, really waited, till he saw me get in my door safe before he drove off. Never charged me for the waiting. That's Randy. And there was Kaye. Kaye lived in the next apartment, a young woman, 26. And here's the thing about Kaye that I still can't quite say without my voice doing something. For a good while, I didn't even know what Kaye did for a living. We were friendly over the railing. She'd bring me a mango. I'd mind her spare key. And then one evening it just came out, in passing, that she was a nurse, worked shifts at a hospital in the city. And I went cold on her, right there. I couldn't help it. A nurse. The exact kind of clean, capable, kind young woman who'd stood over me in that facility with a little paper cup and watched me swallow and marked it down. I got short with her, and I was ashamed of it even while I was doing it, and I pulled back the better part of a week. And Kaye didn't take offense, and she didn't push. She just kept on.
And when I finally told her why, out on the step one night, told her about the bell and the code on that door, she didn't say she was sorry, didn't say the thing they all say. She got quiet a minute, and then she said, she'd taken to calling me Lola by then, grandmother, never asked, just did. She said, Lola, in my hospital, when the old ones get better, we send them home. We do not keep them. And that was the first time in a long while I let a nurse near me. She didn't get handed my trust, and it sure wasn't free. She earned her way past a door I'd shut on her whole profession, and that is worth 10 of the easy kind of kindness to me now. She checks on me because she took the trouble to, not because there's a clipboard makes her. That's the whole difference, and it's the whole world.
And I'll give you the numbers plain, because I know some of you are sitting there doing the math, wondering, could you do a thing like this? My apartment, clean, a real hot shower, a little balcony, air conditioning I broke down and used, ran me $370 a month. My food, and I eat well, all that fruit and fresh fish, and yes, the durian, maybe $265. And when my hip got bad enough that I finally saw a doctor, a kind, unhurried man sat with me a good while, no appointment, no rush, and adjusted things and sent me off, and it cost $27. The whole visit, $27. In that very nice facility back home, my children were paying more than that for a single day of the bell and the lights and the locked door. I ran those numbers over and over that first month, and every time they came out the same, and every time they meant the same thing. I could stay. I never had to go back to the bell. That doctor, Dr. Reyes, and I'll say his name because he earned it. He didn't have a computer in the room, not one. Had a pad of paper and a pen, and he asked me about my kids before he asked me about my hip. And when I told him it was just me out here, he didn't cluck about it. He just nodded, like that was a fine and ordinary thing for a woman to be. Back home, I hadn't had a doctor look me in the eye since I don't know when. They talk to the screen, not to you. And there's a woman comes twice a week to help me with the wash and the floors. Costs me next to nothing. A small dignity. I'd do the bus driver's math on all of it, sitting on my crate at the market. What would this have run me at home? What would the scare of the bill alone have run me? And it always ended the same place, in me being able to stay. My daughter forwarded me the last bill from that facility once, to make a point about the money I'd taken, I expect. One day of the bell
cost more than a whole month of Dr. Reyes and the washwoman put together. I didn't write her back about it. Some math you just keep to yourself.
There's an island just off the city, Samal they call it. A short hop on a little ferry, white sand and water you can see your feet through. And Kaye took me over one Sunday with a whole gang of them, her cousins, some neighbor kids, a cooler of food. And I want to tell you what happened on that beach, because it gave me back something the facility had taken that I didn't even know was gone. One of the little ones, a boy of about 5, wandered off while everybody was in the water and the food was being laid out. You know how it goes. Everybody thinks somebody else has got an eye on him. And I saw it. I was the one who saw it, sitting up under the palms with my bad hip, watching the way I've watched 100 kids. I saw him go down toward the rocks, where the water got deep and quick, and I was up and moving and hollering before I'd even decided to. That big bus driver holler I've still got in me, the one that stops 40 kids dead in the aisle. And it stopped that whole beach cold. And Kaye's cousin got to the boy in about 4 seconds flat. And afterward, when everybody'd stopped shaking, Kaye's aunt, a woman my own age, took both my hands and said, "Thank you, Lola. You have the eye." And she meant it. She held on. The eye. 30 years I had the eye, and it kept 40 kids alive every morning. And then one time I slipped on some ice on my own front step, and my children decided I couldn't be trusted to cross a room. And here a whole family thanked God I was old enough and watchful enough to be sitting up under those palms with nothing to do but see. I cried a little on that ferry ride home. Kaye thought it was the sun. I let her think it. But listen to me, because the cheap of it only ever unlocked the door. It's not what was waiting in the room. What actually turned it, what took me from a runaway to a woman with a life, happened up a mountain at a place they've got outside the city, a sanctuary where they keep the great eagle. The Philippine eagle, they call it, this enormous, magnificent bird, biggest eagle there is near about, and there's so few of them left, they've got this place to protect them. And Kaye took me up there on her day off. And I stood in front of this eagle, huge, this crest of feathers, an eye like it could see clear through you. And it was in a big enclosure, because out in the world it wouldn't survive now. There's too few and too much gone wrong. And I stood there looking at that caged king of a bird. And Kaye said, "Quiet. They keep them here to save them, Lola. But you can see it, no?" And I looked at that bird, made for the whole sky, and living behind wire for its own good, for its own safety. And something in me I had to turn away, because I knew that bird. I'd been that bird, in a clean, warm place with a code on the door, kept safe half to death. Kaye said they keep them for their own good, and for the bird, I don't doubt that's true. I couldn't say a word back to her. I just looked at that wire a long minute, and then I looked away, and we walked on down to the next thing. She didn't ask what was the matter with me. I think she already knew. Nang Bebot said a thing to me once I go back to, more than any advice I ever got from my own. I'd been low that day, missing the grandkids, second-guessing the whole wild thing I'd done, and she was stacking pomelo and not even really looking at me, and she said, "Ma'am, you know, they put you in a home, but a home," she waved her hand around at the loud, bright market, the whole racket of it. "A home is only a home if nobody lock it. If they lock it, that is not a home. That is a nice box. You find your home. Ha! Late is okay. Better late than never. You find it." She said it plain and went right back to stacking her pomelo, like she'd just told me the price of them. I didn't say anything back, but she was right, and I've known it every day since. And I'll tell you the day I knew, all the way down, that I'd gotten myself free. Not run off, not on the loose, but actually free. It was a small thing. It was a Tuesday, and I decided I wanted to go up to Eden, this park up the cool side of the mountain where they grow flowers and vegetables in rows and the air finally lets up. And I didn't call Randy, and I didn't wait for Kaye's day off, and I didn't ask a soul's permission. I walked out to the road and I flagged a jeepney my own self, figured out the fare, passed my coins up the row the way you're supposed to, got off where I needed, changed to another one, all of it, an old woman navigating a strange city on her own 2 feet and her own wits. Took me half the morning, and I got it wrong twice and had to laugh at myself. And I stood up there at Eden in the cool with the whole city laid out below and the sea past it, and I realized my heart was just quiet. Because 90 days of my life, not so long before, a woman had stood over me with a little paper cup and watched me swallow and marked it down. And the outside door had a code on it, so I couldn't so much as step into the yard without somebody deciding it was safe. And now here I was up a mountain in another country, and not one living person on this earth knew exactly where I was, and not one had to. And that right there is a feeling they cannot sell you and they cannot lock up. And my children, God love them, will maybe never understand why I crossed the whole planet to get it. There's an old fellow near me, Tate Guardo, sits out front of his place every evening. And when I got home that night, he asked where I'd been, and I told him, Eden, by myself. And he just nodded slow and said, "Ah, good. The leg's still yours. The leg's still yours." I near about hugged him. I have to be honest about how it really is, because I promised you the truth, and I'm too old for pretty lies. It's not all fixed. My children and I, that's a hard thing, and it's not mended, and I don't know that it will be. They were scared. I know that. I try to hold on to that. Scared people do cold things and call it love. But they locked a door on me, and I signed my own self out, and there's an ocean between us now that's more than water. We talk sometimes. Careful. My daughter cried the first call, and I don't know to this day if it was because she was sorry or because I'd embarrassed her. My hip still aches when the rain's coming, and it comes a lot here. I'm still 73, still a long way from anything that was ever mine, and some nights the loneliness sits right down beside me. But I'll tell you what I've got now that no facility on earth was ever going to give me. Nobody locks my door.
I eat when I'm hungry, and I eat what I please. And lately, what I please is a fruit that smells like a crime. There's a girl next door who checks on me because she wants to, and a fool of a taxi driver who tells me the singing standings, and a fruit lady who calls me a crazy old Americana like it's a medal. And when I want to see the whole sky, I go out and look at it, and there's not one soul who can tell me it's for my own good if I don't.
So let me talk to you now, the one of you I've really been talking to this whole time. Maybe there's a meeting being had about you right now in a kitchen somewhere without you in the room. Maybe somebody's already found you a very nice facility for your own safety and packed you a bag, and you're sitting in a clean, warm place listening for a bell. I'm not going to tell you to sign yourself out and get on a plane. I don't know your life, and Lord knows I'm no model of good sense. But I'll tell you the one thing that fruit lady told me that I believe now down to the ground. A home is only a home if nobody locks it. And it is never, never too late to get up and walk out a door that shouldn't have been locked in the first place. I did it at 73, one fall on the ice, and 90 days later, and I have not once looked back at that bell. This little channel belongs to a friend of ours, Ruth Fisher. That's her name up there. And Ruth sits down with one of us most every day and lets us tell you how it went, breaking out and starting over, so old and so far from home. So if it did your heart any good to hear one old bus driver bust loose, stay with us. There'll be another one of us tomorrow. And tell me straight, down in the comments, I read every single one. If it had been you, would you have signed yourself out and got on that plane? Or stayed put and been sensible about it? I've got to guess which way.
Now I've got to go. Kaye's coming by after her shift, and I promised I'd make her try to like the durian. And Randy's already texting me who got voted off. And I have got exactly nowhere I have to be at any particular time, which is the finest feeling I know. You go check on your own locked doors, would you? And if you find one that shouldn't be,